Welcome. Our story this time is called I Always Thought It Was Hallucinations. When I was about 15, I started feeling paranoid, feeling like I'm being watched, hearing some footsteps, having a sense of dread, the works. I mostly brushed it off until I started seeing things in my peripheral vision. Just quick flashes of things at first. Within a year, though, it got worse. Sometimes just a pair of eyes and a smile from across the room. Others, a full shadow of a person, either walking past me or directly at me. A few times, I could see it lunge at me. It became frightening to be alone. My heart would immediately race at the sight of the bright white teeth. They would almost glow in the darkness, stretched out over a mostly unrecognizable face. I couldn't even turn the lights off anymore at night. If I was going to see it, I would hear some footsteps. Then there it would be, lurking somewhere in the background. The day I decided I needed help with this was the worst of it. I was up very late watching a movie. My family had long since gone to bed, and I knew my mom would be upset if I left the lights on. I took a deep breath and moved to turn off the final light. The second I touched the switch, footsteps, running, fast. I didn't react in time, and I still clumsily flipped the switch. There it was, lunging at me with wide arms. I flipped the switch again and ran away. Nothing followed. My gasping breaths the only sound in the house. The next morning, I talked to my parents, and I got mental help, and it somewhat faded away. The hallucinations were a lot less frequent then. I grew up, moved out, got married, moved again. Everything in my life changed except the hallucinations stayed. No matter where I went, I couldn't shake them, and it began to mess with me a lot harder again. My husband began working a third shift at his job, so being alone at night was now a major challenge again. I started seeing things more. The shadowy man began to take on more of a figure and shape as well. I could make out more details in his face. Eyes, bloodshot and wide, almost like those hyper-realistic eyes you would see in a spooky cartoon. A smile, unnaturally large for his face. It almost seemed to go ear to ear. The teeth were still white as could be, a strange contrast to the ratty clothes and scraggly beard they had. I went back to therapy, of course, back on the meds. But it continued to get worse. Eventually, I would start seeing him even when the lights were on. He would just stand somewhere, slightly hidden, waiting for the lights to go out. I never shut them off anymore. Every day for the last 10 years, I thought this was all a hallucination. That was until I saw the man crawl out of the attic about an hour ago. He must have thought I was in another room or something. I never thought it could be real. But here he was, just casually coming down a ladder, as if he had done it a million times before. I've tried texting my husband, but he isn't answering. I don't know what to do. He would probably hear it if I tried to call the police. It might be too late anyway. As I'm typing this now, I heard my closet door close, the heavy footsteps down the hall. I can see him crawling on the floor, the smile on his face looking painful. He's coming towards me. send help. Some of our worst enemies exist only in our minds. But we must never assume that the world is a safe place either. Let me know what you thought of this story in the comments. Or if you'd like me to read any other stories, let me know. I do hope that you'll join me in the future for more Frail Blaze tales.